Pop quiz. Which one of these behaviors indicates the dog is stressed? Is it licking, yawning, growling, ears pinned back? And the answer is all of them. Did that surprise any of you? I think most people know about growling and ears back, but yawning can also be a stress signal, and so can licking. That doesn't mean that all yawning means stress and all licking means the dog is unhappy, but it could mean that your dog is asking you to adjust something about the situation. I'm Michelle, your certified trainer and puppy expert, and today we're going to dig into canine communication, specifically stress signals. I hope you share this video with every dog owner that you know. It's that important. You know that one of the main foundations of a solid relationship, any relationship really, is good communication. But when the relationship is between two different species, it might be a little harder. When a dog and a human live together, the human has more responsibility to understand the communication from their dog. After all, the dog is living in your world, and he doesn't speak your language. And on top of that, humans are the critical thinker in the relationship. Now, it's really important to understand what your dog is saying, especially when it comes to stress. These signals will help you know when your dog is saying, "No thank you," or "not right now," or "that makes me afraid," or "I am really anxious about that." So of course, there is a whole range of emotions in between. And I kind of totally humanize that, but I think you get the idea. Now, the importance of recognizing stress signals is what I call the mom effect. You know, when little kids want your attention and they say, "Mom!" and you're busy doing the dishes and they go, "Mom, Mom, Mom, Mom!" and finally you respond? Well, that happens with our dogs. If we aren't listening to the first few signals of stress and discomfort, they're going to escalate it to something that will get us to listen. It's likely they start with a subtle whisper and escalate to a full-blown scream when someone didn't heed their initial communications. And unfortunately, that leads to a dog who skips subtle signals and jumps to more obvious ones with no warning. So let's take biting for example. Now, if a dog nips or bites out of stress, it's never the first signal that a dog is uncomfortable. In canine behavior study, we actually have a ladder of escalation when it comes to stress. So when a dog isn't getting the communication across, they will escalate to a stronger communication signal. Then they learn that the earlier signals don't get them any attention, so they just skip over them and they go right to the signals that do seem to get someone to respond. When we hear about a dog who bit somebody unprovoked, it's usually because they have had many situations when earlier signals went unheeded, and now the dog has a habit of escalating right to the behavior that gets them the attention. No more whispers or subtle signals. This is a recipe for a lifetime of an unpredictable and stressed dog. Let's not do that. This ladder of escalation is a lot more complicated than I can go into today. We actually have a whole mini lesson on it for our pro level students of our course. If you're interested, you can enroll in it too, and it'll be available to you. A lot of my students hang it on their fridge so the entire family can understand what to look for as far as stress signals in their dogs. Learning a new language takes practice. That's your job when learning canine communication. The benefit of knowing stress signals is knowing when your dog is saying yes, and you can proceed with what you're doing. This is important in things like grooming and the basics of cooperative care, such as brushing, bathing, nail trims, and even doing medical stuff like eye drops or ear drops. We have a whole video on why getting your dog's consent to do things like cutting his or her nails is important and how to do it. Check it out here. The concepts we talk about in that video can actually be applied to so many different grooming and care activities. Understanding your dog's body language also builds trust. It makes training more effective and easier and more pleasant for both the dog and the human. Now, one book we recommend on this topic is one by Lily Chin. Simple explanations and visuals can teach you a lot about your dog. So share this one with anyone that has a dog, especially those with kids. Now, before we talk about the signals themselves, I just want to make sure you understand that context is really important. So take a look at this. Based on what you might already know, it appears that this dog is pretty stressed, maybe even fearful. But what you don't know is that he's actually about ready to play fetch with his favorite toy. So he might be feeling a little anticipatory stress, but it's not a negative thing. So when we talk about these signals from our dog's body language, be sure to layer in some context on top of it. Look at the environment as part of the clues about what your dog is feeling. All right, I can't go through every single stress signal. We'd be here all day, but here are a few that are the most common and the ones that a lot of people misunderstand. Licking and yawning. Now, in the right context, this is a dog's way of saying, I would like this interaction to end. This is usually one of the first signals that your dog will give off. And if you're listening to him at this level, he has no reason to raise his voice. This would be like humans politely saying, oh, no thank you. So keep in mind that dogs don't kiss to show affection. If he's licking you, it's because you taste or smell interesting and he's trying to get more information. He might be self-soothing or he might be saying, I'm all done. When you notice a lip lick, stop what you're doing and look for any other signals that he'd like the interaction to end, like turning away from you or even walking away. And if he wants you to keep petting or engaging with him, he might give you a signal like turning toward you or putting his paw on you or somehow encouraging more interactions. Look for those cues. They're subtle, but they are there. Now, another common signal is the whale eye. This one is harder for humans to notice, but once you know what I'm talking about, you're gonna see it. Whale eye is when the dog's head is facing in one direction, but the eyes go in another, and you can actually see the white part of the dog's eye. This is another indicator of stress, a little more serious than the lip licking or the yawning. This might be something like a, oh, I don't think I like this. This can definitely happen during brushing or grooming procedures, or even putting on a leash or a collar, and even when the kids are trying to pet the dog. Now, if you see this, it means stop what you're doing and work on teaching your pup a positive association with whatever's happening that's causing this stress. Resist doing it again until the dog is giving you his okay that he doesn't feel negatively about it any longer. Now, another one I want to talk about is cowering and ears back. Now, in our ladder of escalation, this is a more escalated signal. Not all dog ladders of escalation are going to look the same, especially if their attempts at communicating have been ignored and misinterpreted in the past. Small dogs often display this stress signal because their size makes it easier for humans to break through the trust barrier and physically handle them. Fun fact, despite what the media tells you, small dogs are not naturally more barky than big dogs. But they often have to resort to barking to get the attention because the earlier signals didn't work. Now, another stress signal that you should pay attention to is the lifted paw. I know it looks adorable, but it's actually a sign of discomfort. Well, unless the dog is hunting something, in which they may indicate the direction of the animal or item that they're tracking. But in the context of distress, a lot of people think a lifted paw means the dog doesn't like the texture of the surface. But it's an instinctual sign of stress. It might also be accompanied by laying down or what we call pancaking. That's a sign that a dog is flooded with information and or stress and is in shutdown mode. There's no learning taking place at that time, and it's up to the human to make the stress stop by leaving the area or adjusting something. We often see this behavior at dog parks. Again, the lifted paw in hunting breeds could be instinctual, and it could be a form of alert. So you really have to rely on the context here. Another signal is the intense stare. Did you know that a stare is not polite in doggy language? When dogs stare at each other intently, it's not a nice behavior and it can often escalate to reactivity very quickly. Even if the other dog is not staring back, we want to notice a stare and interrupt it before it gets too intense. We talk about this threshold concept in my video on fear. And in that video, you're going to learn how long you can let your dog stare at something before you need to shift his attention. And if you want a great game on how to break the stare and get your dog's attention, check out the free digital new puppy starter kit. We teach you the puppy pivot game, which is perfect for young dogs and old dogs too. All the resources I mentioned today, they can be found below in the description. Okay, if you're loving this info, show me some love. Share the video with a dog owner, subscribe to the channel, or use the super thanks feature. We work hard to put these videos together for you, and we hope you love them, but we'd like to know for sure. All right, now it's time for a quick test of what you learned today. Can you spot the stress signals in these dogs? All these dogs are showing signs of stress. If you didn't notice it, it's time to do some more studying. Now, you might be wondering how to decrease your dog's stress levels. Well, there are tons of ways to work on building comfort and confidence, but one way we do this is to create positive exposure sessions to the world around us. So this means that if you've been paying attention to my other advice on socialization and exposure training, you're getting your dog out for regular positive exposure to the world on a regular basis. Yes, even with puppies who haven't been fully vaccinated, there is a way to do it safely, and it's really important that you do it. But in order for the training to be beneficial, it has to be positive. We don't want you to just head out on the street and show your dog every new thing that you find. This is where we don't recommend having a dog in a sling or a stroller either. Now, if you can't see those subtle signals your dog is giving off, you won't know if your session is remaining positive or productive. This video has some great tips on how to do this training in a positive way. So that's the next one to watch as you continue your training with your dog. All right, what's one thing you learned from this week's video? All right, this is your favorite puppy trainer expert and canine communication specialist signing off. See you in the next video.